plays video games all day, and his wife is fed up.
Hey, what's up? This is the first video in the last few months where I don't have to say it's been a while. This video is going to cover what led to any combo of Zen, Mercy, or Brig being so popular over the last month or so, what enables them to be so popular, and how to play them in this soft meta. The first thing we need to discuss when talking about why these characters are meta is what changes move their kits from niche to must pick. With Zenyatta, these changes are actually pretty easy to see. Zen has definitely felt a good amount of the damage inflation a lot of the heroes have seen during and after GOATs. His GOAT's Discord nerf from 30 to 25% was lifted, whilst his increase in Orb of Destruction damage, you know, his balls, that was increased, or it was retained. The increase was retained. His rate of fire and charge rate for his secondary balls, they were also increased back in this August. So basically what I'm saying is if he had a self-heal and Transcendence was on a 30-second cooldown, he'd almost be as strong as Baptiste. I'm just kidding. Bap is perfectly in tune with the rest of the support cast. His kit containing an Immortality Field, a fast self-heal, a hit scan weapon with an AoE heal, and a fast-charging, game-changing ultimate is perfectly comparable to heroes like Lucio, who can run really fast and have the slowest charging ult in the game. Brig, I don't think we really need to talk about. She peels effectively while generating a good amount of passive healing, as well as creating a good amount of pressure for the enemy team. And a little side note, while I do appreciate that she is a difficult character to balance, she is in the game, and I think she should be treated like the niche hero she is. She shouldn't be as strong as she always has been in nearly every meta. I'd prefer higher skill ceiling heroes like Lucio to be up at the top, but, you know, here we are. All right, and finally is Mercy. Her kit's actually been on the rise ever since she kind of got busted back in 2018 with the Caudicus staff nerf. Nearly every part of her kit has seen slow but steady buffs, with Resurrection still providing a really great piece of utility for high-risk DPS characters. All right, so next up, what enables this comp? What brings it from an average comp to the meta comp? In my Brig guide, make sure you check that out if you're a Brig fanatic, like I know everyone subscribed is. I mentioned that low burst heal comps are really not recommended in the lower ranks or even the higher ranks, so why are they currently the meta comp? The main reasoning for this seems to be the tank meta currently, as well as with a side of DPS meta, but mainly tank. These are the bigger factors rather than the supports we're talking about in this video being busted. I don't think any of them are busted, completely busted. They're just a symptom, like I said, of the tanks being so strong. So let's talk about the tanks that are meta. Currently what I'm seeing is Sig Ball is what is played most. This, in my one-head point of view, is due to how independently they can operate, as well as the strength of their kits. Sigma has rarely fallen out of meta ever since his release, just because of the strength of it, and honestly, he's pretty fun to play out of all the tanks. You actually feel like you're contributing to the fight versus being the guy holding the blue rectangle and hoping that the other guy holding the blue rectangle is a little dumber than you.
Defeat.
And maybe he misses a shatter or something, and you get to have some fun once per fight, once every now and then. Ball's also in an interesting spot. He gains massive shields from adaptive shields even after the nerf. It's really not a big change. He has super high mobility on a low cooldown from grapple, extremely quick ult generation, and he also gets it back while his ult's deployed like Bob. And it's very difficult to soft counter Ball. You either pick hard counters like McCree and Sombra, or Ball gets to do whatever he wants. There's not really much in between. So why am I telling you about the tanks? Why does that matter with supports? Well, because both of these tanks are so independent, their kits are so strong, they can play alone, Ball can get health kits, and Sigma really shouldn't be taking a ton of damage, and if he is, he can just put his hands up and absorb it. Because of this, you can pretty much just switch off of burst healers and play two what would be considered off supports. This allows you to offer more utility because you're not going to be needing those burst heals, like I said, so you can offer just more damage like Zen, as well as more damage boost like Zen's Discord or Mercy's damage beam, as well as peeling for, you know, Ball, who is part of the meta with Brig. Like I said, it's a one-head explanation, so I probably left out some factors, but I hope that helps clear up why this meta has come in when it seemed like Double Shield was kind of starting to take over again. All right, finally, let's talk about Playstyles as all these supports and how they'll play together. First up, we're going to be talking about Mercy. When you're playing Mercy with Ball and Sigma, your job is usually going to be as the main healer, as an Ana or a Moira or a Bap would play. You're going to be doing a lot more left-clicking than right-clicking, so a lot more healing than damage boosting than will usually feel right when you play Mercy with one of those other heroes. You can still pocket your DPS. You definitely want to get as much utility out of yourself as possible, but you can't ignore your Sig or ignore your... you can't ignore your Ball. He should be getting health packs, but you can't ignore your Sig or your other DPS, and really you can't ignore your off support as much as you normally would. If you have any takeaway with Mercy from this video, don't tunnel vision like you normally can. You have to look at everyone a little more than you usually do as Mercy. Next up is Zen. Your primary goal is going to be building Trans, and you'll usually be using it against Sig ult, but you have to read the fight. If they have Sig ult, but there's another DPS ult that takes precedence, you'll use it for that. Trans, the usage of it really hasn't changed since when the game came out. The one caveat to that is you can be a little bit more liberal with Trans. There's no Grav Dragon or anything in this meta, so if Sig ult really isn't going to be fight winning or you're already up to, you don't have to use it during Trans, but still be a little more liberal than usual because you aren't going to have the burst heal. So if you guys everybody's getting pretty low and the fight looks to be on their side, maybe they Valked or something, it's not a big deal if you use Trans on that. Just make sure you guys prioritize whoever has an ult like Sig or something. In terms of neutral game play style, try to call your discords, keep heal orb on someone at all times. You want to be building that ult. Heal orb isn't going to be bursting anyone up on heal, so just try to keep it on tanks or something. And Zen is, of course, just as easy to kill as he always has been. However, even though Ball is meta, he seems like an easy pick, which was what I thought until I played Ball on console. And he's not quite as easy as a pick as you think. If Ball misses Boop or the Zen is able to juke Boop and PD pile drive, it could go either way. Zen's orbs do quite a bit of damage, and if he's properly juking the ball usually ends up running away in most situations where he misses Boop and PD or one or the other. So more of that story, play just as safe as usual, be a little bit more liberal with Trans, just make sure your Discord and Orb of Harmony are always out there. They want to always be getting value out of those. Call them out too. Lastly is Brig. I'm really not going to go super in-depth because I just made a guide on her, shameless self-plug down below. But the main thing to keep in mind is you're not going to have a Rhine or even a Zarya or anyone to keep the aggro off of you when you want to be aggressive and get Inspire up. So you really can't go out of position as much as you would normally with those guys. It needs to be well thought out. You want to do your best to keep Inspire up because usually it's Brig Zen that I see. Usually it's Brig Mercy that I see, so you're going to be losing a lot of damage from being off that Zen. And it's going to hurt a lot more if one of the two things, one being Peel, the other thing, your passive heals. If you're not there to do that because you're too dead from being out of position, that's going to be a real fight loser for sure. Also, as far as who you're dueling as Brig, the most common, I forgot to mention the most common DPS picks right now. I've seen a lot of Echo and Tracer. That's really all I can think of off the top of my head. Everyone else, Ashe is pretty common, but there's not really any one best DPS right now. So just get comfortable fighting Tracers, mainly. Echo you can't do a ton about besides keep Whipshot up. She's pretty busted for sure. I think she's a little bit busted, but just keep that in mind. That's pretty much it. Just remember, this meta, it's not the end-all, be-all. It's a tough meta to utilize, especially in the lower ranks. Even if you've got this roster, you've got the Sigma Ball and everything, don't be afraid to swap Ana if it's not working. Teams have a really difficult time communicating and making plays with low burst heals because it requires a lot of coordination and things to get done very quickly. It's a lot like a dive. So just as much as I wouldn't recommend Zen Mercy with Rhine Zarya, I also wouldn't recommend it if you have a Ball that's playing too passively or a Sigma that's taking too much chip damage or a DPS that needs your love and care as Mercy that you can't give them because you need to heal the rest of the team. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions or have any corrections, leave them in the comments. I love corrections because I'm a one-head. So otherwise, thank you very much for watching.